Have you ever felt like your body is quietly betraying you? Like you woke up one morning and something as simple as bending your knees or tying your shoes became a battle. That was Emily's life. Shelf after shelf filled with pill bottles, doctor appointments marked in bold on the calendar, and a creeping frustration that no one seemed to have real answers. But one day, sitting at her kitchen table, hands wrapped around a cup of cooling tea, Emily stumbled on something that changed her journey. Not another prescription, not an expensive therapy, something much simpler: food. More specifically, powerful plant-based proteins hiding right in her grocery store, quietly offering the healing she'd been searching for. Today, let's walk through Emily's discovery. 3 simple foods that soothed her inflammation, brought her strength back, and gave her hope, not from pharmacy, but from her plate. 1. Green peas, a small giant for joint relief. When Emily first began her journey toward joint relief, she never imagined that one of her greatest allies would come from a place so familiar, yet so overlooked. A simple green pea. It happened one quiet afternoon as she sat curled up with a cup of tea, scrolling through articles and research papers. Her joints ached dully, a constant, stubborn reminder of the arthritis that had gradually crept into her life. Determined to find natural ways to support her healing, Emily stumbled upon something that made her chuckle in disbelief. Green peas. Yes, she thought, shaking her head with a wry smile. Memories of her childhood flashed before her, of tiny green spheres stubbornly rolled around her dinner plate, always the last thing left uneaten. How could those possibly help her now? But curiosity got the better of her. As Emily dug deeper, she uncovered a world she had never taken seriously before. Green peas, it turned out, weren't just the humble side dish she remembered. They were a powerhouse hidden in plain sight. These little green gems were rich in plant-based protein, precisely what her body needed to rebuild muscle mass weakened by months of inactivity and stiff joints. But that was just the beginning. Peas were brimming with vitamin K, a crucial nutrient that not only bolstered bone health, but also helped tame the silent inflammation raging within her body. What truly captured Emily's heart, though, was learning about the antioxidants peas carried so quietly within their tender skins: flavonoids and carotenoids. Invisible warriors working tirelessly to neutralize the free radicals that chipped away at her joint health. It felt like peas were offering her a secret gift, one she had dismissed for years without knowing their true worth. Inspired, Emily didn't waste any time. She started folding green peas into her life in the most delightful ways. They found their way into her steaming bowls of soup, into fragrant rice dishes seasoned with herbs, even into smooth, creamy dips she would spread onto warm toast. Each small addition to her plate felt like a gentle, loving act of rebellion against her pain, a reclaiming of her strength, one meal at a time. And Emily didn't stop there. Remembering another tip she had read, she began pairing her peas with a sprinkle of turmeric and a dash of black pepper, an ancient combination known to supercharge the body's anti-inflammatory defenses. As the vibrant colors danced together on her plate, Emily smiled. She wasn't just eating. She was healing, one tender, vibrant bite at a time, in the quiet moments between meals. When the ache in her joints lessened just enough to notice, Emily would think back to those once-forgotten peas and marvel. Sometimes, the smallest things, the ones we overlook, are the ones that end up saving us. 2. Black beans. Emily's secret weapon against stiffness. After struggling for what felt like forever with the stubborn stiffness in her joints, Emily found help from the most unexpected of places: a humble, rich staple she had always overlooked: black beans. At first, it sounded almost too simple. Black beans? Could they really make a difference? But as she began weaving them into her daily meals, she felt something shift, something small at first, but undeniable. Emily had discovered her secret weapon. She learned that black beans were packed with magnesium, a mineral her body had been silently craving. Magnesium worked like a natural muscle relaxer, easing the tight, unyielding tension around her painful joints. For the first time in what felt like months, Emily woke up feeling a little looser, a little more free. It was as if her body was exhaling after holding its breath for too long. But the magic of black beans didn't stop there. They were bursting with fiber, too, an unsung hero that helped keep her blood sugar level steady. Emily hadn't realized it before, but those sudden blood sugar spikes she sometimes experienced were secretly fanning the flames of inflammation throughout her body. By adding more fiber-rich foods like black beans, she noticed her flare-ups weren't as fierce. Her mornings became easier. She no longer dreaded that first, painful step out of bed. And there was one more gift hidden inside each tiny black bean. Quercetin, a powerful plant flavonoid known for its strong anti-inflammatory properties. Every hearty black bean stew she made, every refreshing bean salad she tossed together, wasn't just a meal, it was a quiet, determined act of healing. With each bowl, Emily was building a stronger defense system inside her, spoonful by spoonful. She even found creative ways to keep things exciting. One of her favorite discoveries was roasting black beans with a drizzle of olive oil and a sprinkle of cumin. The result? A crunchy, satisfying snack that kept her energized all afternoon. A simple pleasure that reminded her healing didn't have to be a battle. Sometimes it could be delicious. Black beans weren't just food anymore. They were a symbol, a daily reminder that sometimes the smallest changes, the humblest choices, could create the biggest transformations. 3. Tempeh, the unexpected game changer. For months, Emily had been searching for something, anything, that could ease the persistent aches gnawing at her joints and the stubborn inflammation that left her drained. She had tried everything: strict diets, supplements, even experimental treatments. But nothing truly clicked. That is, until the day she discovered tempeh. At first glance, tempeh seemed foreign, almost intimidating. A dense, earthy block of fermented soybeans? Hardly the glamorous superfood she had imagined. But something about its story intrigued her. Ancient, simple, and profoundly nourishing. Tentatively, she gave it a try, and that decision changed everything. Unlike the tofu she had occasionally toyed with, tempeh wasn't just another meat substitute. It was a nutritional powerhouse, a complete protein packed with all 9 essential amino acids her body craved for recovery and vitality. But even more importantly, its fermentation process loaded it with probiotics, those tiny, unseen allies that worked wonders in her gut. Within days of incorporating tempeh into her meals, Emily began to notice subtle shifts. The bloating that often left her feeling sluggish melted away. Her energy levels climbed, surprising her with a new sense of lightness that made each morning feel a little less heavy, a little more hopeful. Even her joints, once stiff and unyielding, seemed to loosen, not overnight, but steadily, persistently. It was as if healing had finally found a foothold inside her body. All starting from her gut. She realized something few doctors had mentioned: gut health and arthritis were intimately connected, and nurturing her microbiome was opening a door she hadn't known existed. Beyond its health benefits, tempeh quickly became a beloved staple in Emily's kitchen. She learned to marinate it in tamari sauce, letting the salty, umami-rich flavors seep into every crevice. Then she would sear it until golden and crisp, a process that filled her home with a warm, savory aroma that comforted her even before the first bite. She tossed it into hearty grain bowls, nestled it into vibrant leafy green salads, and even enjoyed it alongside roasted vegetables. Its versatility amazed her. Tempeh seemed to drink in whatever flavor she paired it with, ensuring that her meals were never boring or repetitive. One of Emily's favorite discoveries was a simple but powerful combination: tempeh paired with roasted sweet potatoes and a creamy tahini drizzle. The natural sweetness of the potatoes, the nutty richness of the tahini, and the hearty, satisfying tempeh created a dish that wasn't just food. It was medicine, pleasure, and hope all on one plate. Rich in calcium, iron, and B vitamins, tempeh also nourished her bones and muscles, offering a foundation for long-term recovery. It wasn't a flashy miracle cure. It was something better, a humble, reliable ally she could turn to every day. Looking back, Emily realized that finding tempeh wasn't just about adding a new food to her diet. It symbolized a bigger shift, a move toward trust in her body's natural ability to heal, given the right support. In its own quiet way, tempeh gave Emily more than just nourishment. It gave her a new beginning, the small choices that lead to big changes. Emily never set out searching for miracles. When she first began weaving a few simple, unassuming foods in her daily life, her expectations were modest, almost cautious. She wasn't chasing a cure, nor was she ready to abandon the medications that had become a fixture in her routine. She simply hoped for a little more ease, a little less pain, and perhaps a sense of control over a body that often felt like it was slipping away from her. The first few days were quiet. No fireworks, no sudden revelations. But within a few weeks, something shifted, almost imperceptibly at first. Her mornings, once clouded by the heavy ache in her joints, began to feel a little lighter. It was subtle. Her fingers, once stiff and stubborn, now moved with an ease she hadn't felt in years. And then, her knees, always burdened with a dull, dragging pain, seemed to lift just enough to make her daily walks around the neighborhood something to look forward to, not dread. It wasn't about grand gestures or overnight transformations. Emily's journey was about honoring her health in the smallest, yet most powerful ways. It was a quiet rebellion against the narrative that healing had to be complicated, expensive, or out of reach. Every bite of peas, every spoonful of black beans, every taste of savory tempeh was a small, deliberate act of self-love, a way of telling her body, I am listening. I am here for you. And maybe, just maybe, that's where true healing often begins. Not in elusive treatments or miracle cures, but right there, hidden in plain sight, tucked into the vibrant greens of a produce aisle, waiting patiently among the humble bags of legumes and fermented soy. For Emily, it was never about replacing the old ways overnight. It was about building a bridge between where she was and where she wanted to be, one small step at a time. If you too are feeling trapped by the weight of arthritis, if you feel like your body has become a battleground, maybe it's time to meet the foods that helped Emily reclaim her life. You don't have to overhaul everything at once. Start with just one choice. Add one nourishing food to your plate this week. Notice the shifts, the slight ease in your step, the extra breath you didn't realize you were holding finally released. Celebrate these small victories, however tiny they may seem, because healing isn't always bottled, prescribed, or purchased. Sometimes it starts with something much simpler, something tender, something powerful, something that begins with a single bite, and a deep, unwavering belief that even the smallest choices can lead to the biggest changes. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more inspiring journeys and tips to live your healthiest life.